with a moment of silence in solidarity and mourning with those affected by the tragedy in Connecticut, after which please remain in a spirit of prayer with me as we begin our invocation. Will you please be silent with me? Gracious God, we thank you for this commencement service, which is both culmination and beginning. We thank you for the journey of education these graduates have enjoyed and for the character formation that has occurred along the way. We thank you for all those who took part in that education and formation, from food service staff to professors to deans, and for their continuing commitment to excellence. For the friends and family who celebrate with the graduates, for their support, their dreams, and the meaning their pride adds to this achievement. And for California University, with our shared values of integrity, civility, and responsibility that bind our hearts in common principle and purpose. For turning I could to I will, classmates to friends, professors to inspiration, we thank you. May we have the same transformative power in all we do. Amen.
You may be seated. Before we begin, let me make a brief mention that should the fire alarm go off, please remain calm and in your seats and await further direction from me should there indeed be an emergency. Good morning, and welcome to California University of Pennsylvania's 175th Commencement Celebration. I am Dr. Bruce Barnhart, Acting Provost of California University of Pennsylvania, and it is my pleasure to introduce members of the Platform Party and several other persons here with us today. I will begin introductions with those seated in the back row and ask each person to stand as his or her name is called. And may I ask that you, the audience, hold your applause until everyone is introduced. Dr. Daniel Engstrom, Associate Provost and Associate Vice President of Student Retention and Success. Dr. Carol Sheffield, Interim Associate Provost. Dr. Stephen Whitehead, Interim Associate Provost. Dr. William Edmonds, Dean of Admissions. Mr. Douglas Hoover, Dean of Library Services. Dr. John Callis, Interim Dean, Eberly College of Science and Technology. Dr. Mohammed Yamba, Interim Dean, College of Liberal Arts. Dr. Kevin KOURY, Dean, College of Education and Human Services. Dr. Stanley Kamasic, Dean, School of Graduate Studies and Research, Associate Provost. Dr. Nancy Pinardi, Interim Vice President for Student Affairs. Dr. Charles Mance, Vice President for University Technology Services. Ms. Sharon Navoni, Interim Vice President for University Development and CalU for Life. Mr. Robert Thorne, Vice President for Administration and Finance. Mr. Robert Miner, Jr., Class of 1978, Council of Trustees. Mr. Michael Crozen, Student Member, Council of Trustees. The Reverend JANA QUISENBERRY, Pastor, California United Christian Church. Dr. William Biddington, Professor, Department of Exercise Science and Sports Studies, Faculty Marshal. Mr. Walter Daniel Harris III, 2012 Senior Class Envoy and Graduating Senior. Mr. Michael Napolitano, Class of 1968, Council of Trustees. Mr. James Davis, Class of 1973, Council of Trustees. Mrs. Michelle Mandel, Class of 1969, Council of Trustees. Mrs. TERI DUNN, Class of 1980, today's guest speaker. Mrs. Geraldine Jones, Acting President, California University of Pennsylvania. Representatives from the Alumni Association who will be presenting alumni pins to the graduates are seated to my left. Mrs. Kathy Conley, classes of 1995 and 1996, Director of CalU for Life. Mrs. Leslie Fleener, class of 2008, Assistant Director of CalU for Life. Under the direction of Dr. Hugo Ikach, the University Choir will now present Forever Cal, words and music by Bob Dylan and Rod Stewart, arranged by Russ Shively.
Good morning. University trustees, Reverend QUISENBERRY, Mrs. Dunn, distinguished guests, parents and family members, and members of the class of 2012. I welcome you to California University's 175th commencement ceremony. I would like to begin my remarks this morning with a special thank you to the faculty members present for their hard work and dedication on behalf of our students. You have demonstrated your commitment to teaching, mentoring, and challenging our students, and we thank you for all your contributions. Please, faculty members, stand and be recognized at this time. I have been associated with this university for approximately 45 years. First as a student, both undergraduate and graduate, then as a faculty member, dean, provost, and now as the acting president. As an alumna and an employee, I have always been proud of California University, and this great institution has been an important and big part of my life. In my current role as acting president, I am even more proud of the university and cognizant of its proud history, and the history yet to be written. I am proud of you, our graduates, for your hard work and the sacrifices made to get to this point. I am very much aware of the role each of you will play in the future of our country and our world. For over 160 years, this university has provided students with a first-class education. Those students have gone on in the world after receiving their diplomas, just like you will do, and they have made a difference. These alumni have changed lives, reshaped communities, and made the world a better place. And each of our graduates today will have the opportunity to do the same. Whether you are receiving a degree in education or history or applied technology, you can contribute significantly to the world around you. Remember to help others, to give a kind or encouraging word to those you meet, and always count your blessings. Each of us has a responsibility to care for our fellow man, so I ask you to lead the way. Ponder how you can lend a hand or make a difference. No matter what career path you choose, those special moments you spend helping others will shape you into a good human being. As graduates, all of you will take different paths in life. There will be many opportunities for you and many decisions that will need to be made. Those opportunities and decisions will never cease, but each one will enhance your character, help determine your future, and add another experience to your life story. Eleanor Roosevelt said, "The purpose of life is to live it, to taste experience to the utmost, to reach out eagerly and without fear for newer and richer experience." Be confident as you taste those experiences. Appreciate your talents and gifts and follow your dreams. Live your life vibrantly and enjoy every step of your journey. As you enter this next exciting phase in your life, we ask you to remember CalU, the friends you've made here, the professors who have mentored you, and even those times which may have tested you and caused you to want to throw your hands up in frustration, because all these experiences have contributed to the person you are today. Please know that your relationship with CalU does not end here. A new phase is about to begin. When you depart with your diploma, you will be an alumna or an alumnus, and we hope you will have a lifelong relationship with this great institution. We will welcome you back to campus with open arms whenever you are able to visit. As you prepare to walk across the stage this morning to receive your diploma, please pause for a second and give yourself a mental pat on the back. Take in the moment and bask in your success. You have worked hard, you have persevered, and you have accomplished something significant. Be proud of yourself. Think of the parents and family and friends who helped you and encouraged you along the way. And remember that this is truly the beginning of an exciting chapter in your life. A different one, of course, but an exciting one nonetheless. All of us here at CalU, our trustees, administrators, faculty and staff, and your fellow alumni are proud of each of you and your achievements, and we offer heartfelt congratulations to you on this, your graduation day. May your life be filled with continued successes, just enough challenges to make life interesting, and abundant joy. Congratulations, class of 2012. Thank you.
I'd like to introduce Mr. Walter Harris, 2012 Senior Class Envoy and graduating senior.
Hi, Mom. And good morning, graduates. It is a pleasure to be here with you today and formally present the senior class gift on behalf of all seniors who contributed to this scholarship fund. Those of us who worked on and contributed to the 2012 senior gift drive certainly embraced the idea of a lifelong relationship with CalU. As President Jones mentioned in her remarks, as students at CalU, we have learned that it is not only important to work and study and set goals for our career, but building our character is even more important, for that is what sets us apart as human beings and enables us to contribute to the global community. The gift I present today represents our commitment to the university's core values: integrity, civility, and responsibility, as well as the university's Bill of Rights and responsibilities. President Jones, on behalf of the December graduates of the class of 2012 and the many generous families who recognize the efforts of their students and contributed a matching gift, I am pleased to present this check in the amount of $11,702.39. Thank you. This is a token of our pledge to have a lifelong relationship with our alma mater, California University of Pennsylvania. Thank you.
Walter and the class of 2012, on behalf of California University of Pennsylvania and the students we serve, I thank you for this generous donation, which will directly benefit our deserving students. Thank you for your willingness to establish this endowed scholarship in honor of the class of 2012. Thank you.
It is my distinct pleasure to introduce today's guest speaker, Ms. TERI DUNN, class of 1980. Ms. TERI DUNN has been a consultant for manufacturers, finance companies, and independent dealerships in the office products industry since 2006, when she also began delivering speeches and selling managed print services training on behalf of the Learning Outsource Group. She currently serves on the board of directors for Rampart Global Incorporated, an engineering management resource company. Previously, Ms. Dunn enjoyed a distinguished 26-year career with global imaging systems companies in Pennsylvania, Washington, and Oregon. After starting in sales at Global Imaging, she rose through various executive positions until she ultimately was named Global Corporate Vice President of Marketing. In that role, she managed the rollout of Global Imaging's successful national print management initiative. Ms. Dunn also was responsible for curriculum, administration, and training for the Sales and Marketing module within the National Global Leadership Institute. She is a trained facilitator for FISH Philosophy, a dynamic program that teaches team building and cultural development. Ms. Dunn has contributed to the community throughout her career. As a member of the Leadership Pittsburgh program, she was named one of the city's top 50 business leaders in 1998. She was a member of the Rotary Club of Pittsburgh for 12 years and served 2 terms on its board of directors. Ms. Dunn served on the board of directors for the Greater Pittsburgh Food Bank and was board president from 1996 to 1998. In 1997, Pennsylvania Governor Tom Ridge recognized her personal contribution to the statewide fight against hunger, and she was honored as one of Pittsburgh's community champions in 1998. In 2001, the food bank's 15th anniversary, she accepted its award for vision and innovation. In 2002, Ms. Dunn received the Alumni Professional Excellence Award from California University of Pennsylvania. The following year, Kentucky Governor Paul E. Patton appointed her a Kentucky Colonel, and in 2004, she joined the board of directors for the Wesley Institute in Pittsburgh. Ms. Dunn holds a bachelor's degree in communications from California State College of Pennsylvania. She has delivered guest lectures at CalU. Please join me now in welcoming Ms. TERI Dunn.
Good morning and congratulations, graduates. In 1976, my parents and I pulled into a gravel parking lot that occupied the very same place that you're sitting today. Cal looked a lot different then. At the time, though, I thought this was the greatest place on earth because it represented independence. In retrospect, as I look back, Cal really was the place where I started to grow up. While it has a constantly changing face, Cal has lived up to the same expectations it's had of all of its students over the last 175 years. She has weathered changing economy, difficult times, politics, and competition. Cal has made adjustments and changes and has become much, much more self-reliant. Cal's become a leader in education and a brand in and of itself. But Cal has left enough of her core that when alumni return to campus, our hearts are filled with pride. And today, graduates, your families feel this same pride as they look at you and anticipate what you will become. At the request of President Jones, and with the keeping of tradition of having an alum speak, I'll highlight my journey since leaving Cal. And as well, I'll share some humble experiences and lessons that I learned along the way. 4 years after stepping foot on this property, I, like you, graduated. 2 weeks later, I had landed myself a job. I landed myself a job with a company that did less than $1.6 million in business a year. I had taken a job selling copy machines, and no one was very impressed. But I needed a roof over my head and food in my belly, and I had a couple professors, Marcy Blount and Patrick Miller, who are with us here today, who had convinced me that I could do anything if I applied myself. It was hard work. It was very, very competitive. The days were filled with rejection. and I had to acquire a tremendous amount of self-discipline in managing my own time outside the confines of an office or a supervisor. But my thinking was that time was the commodity that I had that was the same as everyone else's. I didn't have the experience that all the other salesmen had, but I had the same amount of time. And how I spent that time made all the difference in the world. I wanted desperately to change the perception that I was a young college kid. So I had to make myself valuable. I had to make the most of every opportunity. I had to become a brand in and of myself. I had to become something that couldn't be duplicated. Just a few years later, I was able to buy into that company, that small business. And about 10 years later, we sold that business for about 25 times its value when I started. We sold to a company called Global Imaging Systems, and they contracted 3 of us to stay on and continue to run the business. We chose to sell to Global because Global had an entrepreneurial business model, meaning they wanted us to run that business just like it were our own, make decisions as though that business was our own business. So we acquired other companies, we continued to have internal growth, and in just 3 years, we went public with our stock offering. At that point, I was transferred to Seattle, and my job was to be president of a group of companies, and it was a particularly vulnerable time. It was the time of the dot-com bust, Y2K, earthquakes, a high-tech downsizing. It was the most challenging time of my career. But there was that entrepreneurial model. I was vested in my own decision-making. I could make things happen instead of allowing things to happen to us. Weathering that storm earned me the position of Vice President of Marketing for Global Imaging Systems nationally. To make a long story short, what started as an opportunity with a less than $1.6 million company grew into what was acquired by Xerox in the year 2007 for $1.5 billion. And I am so very proud to be one of the many entrepreneurs that made that possible. You see, in business, revenue and profit are measures of success. But success can also be measured in other ways. By the art that you create, by the buildings that you build, by the discoveries that you make, by the cases that you win, by the children that you teach. The career that you've just spent years preparing for will certainly come with a paycheck. Some will be bigger than others. But I can tell you from experience that no paycheck is as fulfilling as the deposits you make of your time, talent, and treasure in others. You have a chance to make a difference. You have a chance to pay back. Because you know, it's seldom that any of us get to where we are or succeed without the help of others. I have a husband and daughter who are constant sources of encouragement to me. I had mentors here at Cal that I turn to even this day. I had peers in the workplace that I learned from. I had managers that critiqued me and helped me grow. I had employees that all but drove me mad, and employees that challenged me, and employees that I took great pride in. I had customers that blessed me, and I had customers that taught me lessons that I will never forget. These all deserve deposits of our time, talent, and treasure. Every one of you will be given a chance to succeed, but you won't be entitled to success. It's all about the choices that you make. In my personal story, I shared some key words: entrepreneur, time, opportunity, perception, and value. When I reflect upon the years since I left Cal, those were my differentiators. Entrepreneur, run yourself like you're your own business. Make yourself a brand that you can be proud of, and a brand that speaks for itself. Don't wait for others to evaluate you. Evaluate yourself. Time, that great equalizer. Regardless of your final GPA, when you leave here today, you will all have the same amount of time. Use it to make a difference. Opportunity. You will all be faced with plenty. But Thomas Edison said, opportunity is missed by most because it's dressed in overalls and looks like hard work. Be willing to take on the tasks that others are not. Be willing to do what others are not. Embrace and master the uncomfortable. Perception. Be in charge of others' perception of you. If you want to change someone's perception of you, you have to change their experience. And value. We hear the term added value thrown around loosely. In business, the true definition of value is the customer's perception of the potential cost of not doing business with you. In your personal life, value is someone's perception of the potential cost of not having you. Don't just show up. Make yourself valuable. Be willing to risk and make mistakes. The number of successes you have in life will be in direct proportion to the number of mistakes you're willing to make. I've made countless mistakes over the last 3 decades. In fact, in 2002, after repeating the same mistake over and over and over in the business world that caused me and unfortunately my employees heartache and frustration, it took a significant personal experience to finally drill into my head the most valuable lesson of my career. It was Easter Sunday in 2002. I thought, at the top of my game. My group of companies were leading the country in revenue and profits. Cal U had just given me an Alumni Professional Excellence Award. And best of all, I had lost 30 pounds on the Atkins diet. I was feeling mighty good about myself. It was a beautiful Easter Sunday morning, and I was delighted to fit into a hot pink suit that I had not been able to fit into for quite some time. The waist was even a little loose. I was feeling good. We all had jobs at the church that morning, and as a result, the only place left to sit was in the front pew of the church. It was a lovely service, a beautiful service. And when it came time to sing the last hymn, I stood and I sang with gusto. The choir, in the last verse of that hymn, moved up before me to prepare to sing the benediction. And it was then that I started to notice a couple of the choir members making hand motions at me. I was terribly confused until one of them pointed to the floor, and down around my ankles was my hot pink skirt. There I stood in my hot pink jacket and my pantyhose in the front row of the church on a crowded Easter Sunday morning. I had been caught up in the moment. I wasn't paying attention to details. I wasn't looking forward or making adjustments for change. I was caught with my skirt down. Friends, don't get caught with your pants down. When I look back at the number of times I would have minimized stress and anxiety by being a little bit more forward-thinking, proactively adjusting for change, rather than just basking in the good times, my work days and my work relationships would have been a lot more pleasant. It took a significant personal experience late in my career to drill that into my head. Don't get caught with your pants down. And remember, make time your great equalizer. Make the most of challenging opportunity. Change the perception that others might have of you by being valuable, too valuable to lose. Keep growing and learning. Like in 1976, I'm still growing up. And finally, give back. Pay it forward. Measure your success by what it feels like to touch the lives of others, and relish in that feeling. Class of 2012, your journey has just begun. All the best to you, and thank you. It has been my honor to address you.
The University Choir will now present another selection for your listening enjoyment, Celebration by Kool and the Gang, arranged by Russ Shively.
Celebrate good times.
Presenting the candidates from the College of Education and Human Services for the degrees of Bachelor of Science in Education, Bachelor of Science, and Bachelor of Social Work is Dr. Kevin KOURY, Dean of the College.
The candidates from the College of Education and Human Services will rise, please. Madam President, the following persons have completed all the requirements, have been approved by the faculty, and are presented for the degree of Bachelor of Science in Education. Rachel Elaine Albright. Shanna R. Anick. Gregory Arabia. Robert T. Bateman II. Sarah Elizabeth Bauer. Andrew J. Bell. Sarah E. Benson. David Jeffrey Berner. Christopher R. Betza. Monica Jeanette Bowden. Alyssa Nickerson Borso. Michelle Renee Bradley. Carrie L. Brown. Ashley Briner. Brandon Carnahan. Jessica Brianne Cassini. Jessica Lynn Cervantes. Eugenia Chirin. Gabrielle Connors. Carlene Marie Criado. Jill Allison D'Amico. Lamanda Davies. Adrian Renee Day. Nakia Jeree DeBlanc Topham. Jacqueline D. DeWitt. Nicole E. DeWitt. Nicole Lee Dickinson. Angela Rose Doyle. Stacy Marie Fennell. Caitlin Elizabeth Ford. Donald Harlan Funk. Taylor Rose Garber. Haley Jordan Gardner. Cassandra Lynn Garner. Casey Franklin Giles. Alexis Gentili. Austin M. Good. Kristen Guthrie. Jessica Lynn Habich. Autumn Lacole Hammond. Emily M. Hartman. Gregory P. Hauser, Jr. Holly Elizabeth Herbertson. Amy Elizabeth Hirsch. Hannah Caitlin Harrell. Bruce L. Ratch. Stephen J. Hervatine. Jordan Lorraine Jackson. Chelsea L. Jackson. Eric Kincaid. James Robert Kirker. Jessica Lee Kodrick. Lauren Elizabeth Kutz. Amanda Catherine Kurtz. Kelsey L. Landy. Samantha J. Lehue. Brittany D. Lewis. Anthony J. Manarino. Ariel M. Marshall. Angela Marie Maruka. Jessica Masterbray. Shalise Marie McCracken. Sarah Marie McGraw. Holly L. McKean. Melissa Dawn Means. Aaron Jeffrey Miles. Dina M. Mornak. Lauren Elizabeth Mergel. Nicole Marie Phillips. Deanna Polite. Danielle Lynn Prokop. Chelsea Claire Rebholz. Jacqueline Marie Riley. Christy E. Robertson. Angel Renee Rose. Laura Alexandra Roscoe. Rachel D. Salvi. Nicholas Thomas Sanduli. Megan Mackenzie Saylor. Tamara Shoyerman. Macy Renee Seibel. Brittany Ann Sheets. Jessica Ann Shao. Erica Marie Schultz. Amanda Sibinek. Joshua Allen Silvis. Richard M. Smochek. Marissa L. Spikuza. Courtney Ann Stofchek. Melissa Lynn Straub. Sarah R. Strite. Courtney Lynn Sturm. Gregory Michael Vashinsky. Alexis Vranisevic. Jessica Louise White. Christopher Williams. Krista Corinne Wineland. Brandon Michael Wyvrat. Kylie Joe Yoders. Samantha Jo Uhas. Dennis Roy Zellers. Madam President, the following persons have completed all requirements, have been approved by the faculty, and are presented for the degree of Bachelor of Science. Rebecca Brett Barnhart. Jennifer Elizabeth Barley. Christopher Nicholas Bennett. Victoria Caroline Bennett. Craig D. Bossy. Tiffany A. Bostick. Kayla J. Cole. Zachary T. Cower. Rebecca Ann Espy. Amy Elizabeth Fouth. Jocelyn Fenyar. Kathleen Mary Fulfer. Ryan Andrew Grindle. Peter James Hackenbrack. Priscilla Hardin. Brandy D. Harris. Robert Shannon Houston III. Taylor M. Howrelak. Rebecca Kuklar. Zachary Keith McCarty. Renee L. Milchek. Catherine V. Moeller. Marissa L. Morris. Shane Aaron Parsley. Jamie Lynn Phillips. Alan D. Porter Jr. Miles Clark Porter. Scott A. Rechtenwald. Sarah E. Reeb. Joshua Allen Robertson. Mark Vincent Sanders Jr. Ashley M. Schlag. David Charles Schmidt. Selena Marie Servideo. Catherine Patricia Shimko. Stephen James Silvestri. Timothy Ellsworth Snare. Jeffrey N. Stagon. Lambert R. Strayer. Jenny Marie Suter. Nicholas Thomas. Brittany Lee Turley. Elizabeth Kara Wagner. Carmia J. Watts. Amber Nicole Williams. Diane Luke Gia Zen. Madam President, the following persons have completed all the requirements, have been approved by the faculty, and are presented for the degree of Bachelor of Social Work. Amanda Nicole Babarich. Natalie M. Krausauer. Devin Edward Chase Cunningham. Diane Marie Dimoff. Christy M. Garcia. Erica Lynn Courts. Faith L. Lingenfield. Susan Marie Palco. Lindsay J. Payton. Lisa Marie Phillips. Iris Milagro Rodriguez. Shirley N. Zazedo. Sean Hudson. Madam President, several candidates have asked to graduate in absentia. Please check the commencement program for a list of their names. The candidates from the College of Education and Human Services will be seated, please.
Presenting the candidates from the College of Liberal Arts for the degrees of Bachelor of Science, Bachelor of Fine Arts, and the Bachelor of Arts is Dr. Mohammed Yamba, Interim Dean of the College.
The degree candidates from the College of Liberal Arts will rise, please. Madam President, the following persons have completed all the requirements for the degree Bachelor of Science, have been approved by the faculty, and are presented for that degree. Jordan Agudelo. Joshua Anderson. Jacqueline C. Billy. Joseph Lee Brooks II. Joseph Michael Bucci. Ashley N. Coffey, Shannon L. Cole, Sitina Simone Davis, Don K. Dolan, Stephanie L. Fickett, Second Lieutenant Dustin Ryan Fuller, Justine J. Griffith, Jeffrey J. Haney, Chris J. Hayes, Samantha Ann Marie Holmes, Stephen Michael Johnson, Stephen P. Joncas II, Eric J. Kush II, Dustin A. Leonard, Angelo John Martino III, Rhonda Ann McNamara, Sergeant Jared M. Michalski, Lauren E. Murphy, Andrea Lynn Purcell, Second Lieutenant David M. Short, Chad Wesley Smith, Stephanie Nicole Soyka, Corey A. Strickler, Jessica Ann Thomas, Kirill Tulkov, Samantha L. Valiaton, Stephen Ventura, David R. Voss Jr., Eric John Weinheimer, Madam President, the following person has completed all requirements for the degree Bachelor of Fine Arts, has been approved by the faculty, and is presented for that degree. Jonathan M. Simpson, Madam President, the following persons have completed all requirements for the degree Bachelor of Arts, have been approved by the faculty, and are presented for that degree. Brianna Lee Akulato, Robert J. Altrudo, Courtney Savannah Angert, Jessica Lynn Apple, Caitlin M. Bickle, Megan Margaret Bauer, Samantha Bridge, Gabriela Brover, Catherine Marie Brunetta, Mark Patrick Budinsky, Lauren Renee Burgess. Nancy A. Casiato. Jordan Lee Sena Loger. Shannon Renee Bennett. Francis Camacho Charles. Brittany Chavidi. Camila Marie Sioni. Sarah Elizabeth KOURY. Eva Savannah Criswell. Nicole Marie Cumberland. Matthew Kent Dacre. Chad Joseph Dershowitz. Angela Dawn Devaney. Kristen Amelia Deathon. Elise Ann Duranco. Cassie M. Emery. Gina Ellen Buscemi. Michael Farina. Luke A. Gabic. Amber Chanel Galloway. Megan R. Gavin. Kelly Elizabeth Geras. Ashley Jordan Gill. Catherine Glover. Karen A. Hakim. Michael DeMarco. Walter Daniel Harris III. Tricia N. Harrington. Matthew Allen Corey Hickmott. Jason L. Hines. Zachary E. Hoke. Patrick Andrew Johns.
Yeah, Pat!
Michael William Jursic. Angela Patricelli Kern. Adam Mark Labuda. Amber Lane Lawrence. Jennifer L. Llewellyn. Andrew J. Lipnicki. Kyra M. Lopresto. Carol Mannix. Ross Martin. Anne B. Matucci. Becky Irene McHale. Alicia Ann Morris. Philip Amir Nelson. Kevin Michael Newland. Aaron Petrosky. Alisa Ashley Preston. Christy M. Prosser. Bridget Ann Rogan. Alexandria Lee Sabatini. Daniel J. Scarmazzi. Raylene M. Sheridan. Edward A. Schudy, Jr. Samuel P. Silva. Zachary James Smith. Ashley N. Steger. Allison N. Stanheiser. Laurel M. Tokachik. Rachel M. Trice. Brandy Angela Tute. Nathan T. Wilder. Lindsay Grace Woodford. Latasha Woods. Jessica Marie Zumbek. Madam President, several candidates have asked to graduate in absentia. Please check the commencement program for a list of their names. The degree candidates from the College of Liberal Arts will be seated, please.
Presenting the candidates from the Eberly College of Science and Technology for the degrees of Bachelor of Science, Bachelor of Arts, Bachelor of Science in Nursing, Associate of Arts, and the Associate of Science is Dr. John Callis, Interim Dean of the college.
The bachelor's degree candidates from the Eberly College of Science and Technology and all associate candidates will rise, please. Madam President, the following persons have completed all the requirements for the degree, Bachelor of Science, have been approved by the faculty and are presented for that degree. Bradley James Accipiter. Lisa E. Althoff. Amira Abdul Karim Badran. Nicholas Charles Baer. Robert Joseph Booth, Jr. Anthony Ivan Bronzini. Andrew Lawrence Brown. Cherie Renee Brown. Jillian Michelle Campano. Wall Aaron Carter. Bruna Mores de Covero. Don R. Soretta. Sarah Nicole Chilio. Stacy A. Shmileski. Timothy Lee Cox, Jr. Haley Jordan Crow. Hugh John Delaney. Christina Lee DeSantis. Stephen Jerron Downs. Melanie Jane Duncan. David Joseph Fisher. Sarah Christine Fisher. Daniel Sean Foyle. Rachel C. Free. Cody Douglas Frick. Stephen Michael Fuller. Andrew Alexander Fuco. Megan Elizabeth Gardner. Erin Nicole Graham. Jennifer Renee Grayson. Joseph Grunebach. John E. Hare, Jr. Nathan Ryan Hartman. Manolo Andres Hernandez Procco. Beata Maria Harold. Amber Lucretia Hill. Erica Marie Hines. Terry Glenn Holcomb Jr. Kelly Marie Burrell. Lindsay Ann Howard. Ashley Marie Eisenminger. Donald Wesley Jellison Jr. Jonathan R. John. David Daniel Johnson. Zachary Michael Jones. Tanya Carey Kemp. Corey F. Kirkpatrick. Justin M. Kohler. Justin E. Crapwise. Jessica Lynn Krieger. Paul Robert Kunza. Robert Stephen Kurtz. Marcus Andrew Lambert. Carol Landcrone. Leah Landcrone. Jacob Paul Lascody. Justin Lee Linton. Alexander George Lukasevic III. Christopher Michael Mang. Elizabeth Jane Mareskin. Brian Joseph Meyer. Julia Ann McAuley. Michael A. Medved. Blair Franklin Messinger. Joshua Thomas Miller. Caitlin Marie Miner. Carla Sincera Mubanga. Lara May Natali. Brian Cody Nicholson. James Anthony Nieder. Craig Joseph Novak. Carrie Ann Novotnak. Sarah Jean Oler. Erica Nicole Ostrander. Edward Stewart Parquette. Emily M. Petsky. Alexandria Rita Pope. Robert Anthony Ramondi. Thomas J. Rates. Hannah Renee Roberts. Leah Rossi. Abby Noel Orgola. Stephen J. Sikora. Eric Anthony Simon. Angelica Noel Smith. Alicia Marie Soto. Crystal L. Stepien. Caitlin Michelle Thomas. Emily Nicole Timko. Carrie Michelle Fowler. Jessica Marie Vaughn. Dylan M. Voss. Timothy Michael Vrabel. Matthew N. Volcano. Ryan Michael Wagner. Kylie Elise Wallach. Elise Monique Washington. Ashley Nicole Washington. Ryan Elise Weaver. Benjamin James West. Caitlin Amanda White. Michelle Elizabeth Whitmer. Ryan J. Wojciechowski. Samuel Michael Zeal. Matthew Ryan Zitterbart. Madam President, the following persons have completed all the requirements for the degree Bachelor of Arts, have been approved by the faculty, and are presented for that degree. Danae Aliancic Blaze. Shane Anthony Bond. Jessica Lynn Boring. Caitlin Elizabeth DiCenzo. Grant William Eaton. Samuel Lee Gayton. John Maitland Hauk. Mark Anthony Eisen. Taylor Lane Kapileski. Devin Albert McCusker. Robert Leroy Rudiger Jr. Garrett Stoff Schmidt. Alexandra Nicole Wasco. Brandon Earl Zimmer. Madam President, the following persons have completed all of the requirements for the degree Bachelor of Science in Nursing, have been approved by the faculty, and are presented for that degree. Daria Rose Davison. Andrea Lynn Davis. Kristen Lee Fleming. Mary C. Lentz. Barbara Jean McGill. Robin Marie Meyer Mathias. Terry Lynn Mickle. Dana Y. Montgomery. Jessica Lynn Nagy. Patricia J. Nelson. Adrian Marie Pavlik Miller. Heather Lynn Rack. Kelly Lynn Ramsey. Sarah Ann Rummel. Sarah Elizabeth Slugansky. Christy Lynn Smith. Paula J. Weston. Erin Elizabeth Robleski. Madam President, the following persons have completed all of the requirements for the degrees Associate of Science and Associate of Arts, have been approved by the faculty and are presented for those degrees. Ryan J. Madden. Ronald Ellis Taylor, Jr. Madam President, several candidates have asked to graduate in absentia. Please check the commencement program for a list of their names. The candidates from the Embry College of Science and Technology and all associate degree candidates will be seated, please.
Will the candidates for the degrees of Bachelor of Science in Education, Bachelor of Science, Bachelor of Social Work, Bachelor of Fine Arts, Bachelor of Arts, and Bachelor of Science in Nursing rise, please?
Madam President, the candidates who have been presented to you have been certified by the faculty and the respective deans as having fulfilled all the requirements for the degrees of Bachelor of Science in Education, Bachelor of Science, Bachelor of Social Work, Bachelor of Fine Arts, Bachelor of Arts, and Bachelor of Science in Nursing. I recommend that the degrees be conferred.
By the power vested in me by the Board of Governors of the Pennsylvania State System of Higher Education, I hereby confer the degrees of Bachelor of Science in Education, Bachelor of Science, Bachelor of Social Work, Bachelor of Fine Arts, Bachelor of Arts, and Bachelor of Science in Nursing with all the rights, honors, and privileges which throughout the world pertain to that degree. You may move your tassels. Bachelor's graduates, be seated, please. Will the candidates for the degrees of Associate of Arts and Associate of Science rise, please?
Madam President, the candidates who have been presented to you have been certified by the faculty and the respective deans as having fulfilled all the requirements for the Associate of Arts and Associate of Science degrees. I recommend that the degrees be conferred.
By the power vested in me by the Board of Governors of the Pennsylvania State System of Higher Education, I hereby confer the degrees of Associate of Arts and Associate of Science with all the rights, honors, and privileges which throughout the world pertain to that degree. Associate degree candidates, graduates, be seated, please. I would like to acknowledge the following students who are with us today who received dual degrees. And please stand when your name is announced. Caitlin Elizabeth Forward, Bachelor of Science in Education, Social Studies, Bachelor of Arts, History. Cody Douglas Frick, Bachelor of Science, Earth Science, Bachelor of Arts, Mathematics. Nathan Ryan Hartman, Bachelor of Science, Geology, Bachelor of Arts, Geography. Justin Lee Litton, Bachelor of Science, Computer Science, Bachelor of Arts, Political Science. Zachary Keith McCarty, Bachelor of Science, General Education, Associate of Science, Industrial Technology. Rhonda Ann McNamara, Bachelor of Science, Justice Studies, Bachelor of Arts, Psychology. Blair Franklin Messinger, Bachelor of Science, Technology Management, Associate of Science, Computer-Aided Design Drafting. Kevin Michael Newland, Bachelor of Arts, Communication Studies, Bachelor of Arts, Geography. Edward A. Schutte, Jr., Bachelor of Science in Education, Social Studies, Bachelor of Arts, History. Ashley Steger, Bachelor of Arts, Liberal Studies, Associate of Science, receiving also today from Community College of Allegheny County. Caitlin Michelle Thomas, Bachelor of Science in Education, Earth and Space Science, Bachelor of Science, Geology. Jessica Louise White, Bachelor of Science in Education, Mathematics, Bachelor of Arts, Mathematics. Dennis Roy Zellers II, Bachelor of Science in Education, Social Studies, Bachelor of Arts, History. Thank you. I am also pleased to announce that the following graduates were commissioned just yesterday as Second Lieutenant in the United States Army. Second Lieutenant Dustin Fuller and Lieutenant Brittany Hall. Congratulations. I would also like to acknowledge one of our graduates, Tech Sergeant Craig Bossy, who received his Bachelor of Science degree in Sport Management, Wellness and Fitness, and who is in the military and traveled from Seoul, Korea, to be here with us today. Craig, thank you for your service to our country, and be safe. To all our graduates, congratulations. You have our very best wishes for a wonderful future. Be safe and take care and visit often. In conclusion, we will now sing the first verse of the Alma Mater, after which Reverend QUISENBERRY will present the benediction. I will ask the audience remain in their seats following the benediction and until the end of the platform party and faculty recessional. We understand the graduates want to meet their families and friends in this arena, so they will not need to participate in the recessional. Thank you. Travel safe.
And in grateful response, may you love with passionate action, continue to pursue both knowledge and wisdom, and live lives of excellence and service, so that peace may be your constant companion and joy your life's song. Amen.